speaking of not being able to get across your brief, you saw the Prime Minister today at the National Press Club explaining away why he's changed the Stage 3 tax cuts, taking away money from people that was promised. Now, he's thought long and hard about this. He's consulted long and hard about this. In fact, he's been talking to people in supermarkets.
We involved someone else as well, or another group of people, ordinary Aussies in supermarkets. I spoke with people, as I do, in shopping centres, around streets, in shops.
Around streets.
Where do everyday people hang
shops.
out?
He's probably gone down to Marrickville Metro in his electorate, which I live. I don't live in Marrickville, but I do live in his electorate. By the way, at Marrickville Metro, they love him so much that there is a mural of Anthony Albanese in the toilets. And if that's not enough to give you the willies, I don't know what is. But clearly, he hasn't spoken to this woman.
What do you think of Anthony Albanese's tax cuts announced today?
I don't know. I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Anthony Albanese is?
I don't watch the news.
He's the Prime Minister.
What?
I mean, he didn't go into her supermarket or her street and find her, did he? But, you know, we thought, well, if it's good enough for Anthony Albanese to be wandering around supermarkets asking people what's going on, we sent our intrepid reporter James Macpherson out to do exactly that himself.
I think that's a great decision.
Why's that?
Because people are struggling at the bottom end and the top end they're not. So if you want to keep Australia going, the people who get at the bottom will get the tax cuts, will pay for it and won't be going overseas with it, won't be spending it somewhere else. So it's good for the economy.
Shouldn't break promises.
Why's that?
Well, it's not the right thing to do, is it? I mean, I don't follow politics that too much. I think they're all the same at the end of the day. So, but if he made that many promises, then, you know, he's got to stand by them, I think.
I've got mixed feelings about it. In some respects, it's fair, but in other respects, he made a promise which he didn't keep, and that disappoints me.
What do you think it does for his credibility moving forward?
Look, I don't know that. I don't know what his credibility is like at the moment, but I think it's pretty shattered.
I think the question here is why governments keep breaking their promises. I think that's where the pressure needs to come on. People elect governments based on the promises they're making. If they can't follow through with it, I think that's where they're going to get some red flags, I think.
He went into the election with a promise and he's broken it now to everyone who voted for him.
Do you think that will come back to bite him at the next election, or do you think Australians will largely forget by the time the election rolls around?
Well, I guess it's going to suit a lot of people with the tax cuts, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think high taxpayers should probably pay the taxes. I know there's a bigger divide in society now than there ever has been, so...
Isn't that the point that people at the higher end are paying most of the tax, so shouldn't they get a proportionate break?
Yeah, but the divide's getting bigger, right? Each year the divide gets bigger.
Do you think the government's doing enough on cost of living?
Oh, no, I think they're doing quite well, the Labor government. I think they've done reasonably well.
Do you think the government's doing enough about cost of living?
They're trying. It's a very hard thing to do, but I think that, you know, they are trying, and I think they're on the right path.
Well, there you have it. So, James Macpherson, you've been out to the supermarkets and the streets. What was your impression of people's reaction to Stage 3 tax?
Well, I would love to know what shopping centre Anthony Albanese went to and got all this advice that you should break your promise, because I reckon 2/3 of people I spoke to, and that was just a small selection, but 2/3 of people said, look, though we may enjoy the extra money on lower incomes, people still won't forget the fact that you can't believe anything this Prime Minister says. And so people are well able to take the money and say thank you, whilst also saying, next time you promise us something, we will take it with a big grain of salt. That was the general feeling.
And the thing is, he lied repeatedly. This wasn't something that actually took
more than
place
100
in
times.
the last week or so. Yeah, he promised it over 100 times, all the while knowing he had this cooking away in the background. That is a bald-faced lie. So it's not an exaggeration to say, you're a liar. You're an absolute liar. And he says, oh, economic circumstances have changed. They change every day, mate. And also, the ones in which we find ourselves currently, they're not new. So why didn't you announce this last year? Oh, gee, I wonder, I don't know, maybe you were too busy selling your pet project, The Voice, which was an absolute... That didn't work either. This guy is desperate for a win, but what's confused me about this is we know that they don't do a thing without internal polling. They do this all the time. And I couldn't help but, watching the presser today, notice the Dan Andrews vibes. The amount of times he was like, I'm not here to do the popular thing, I'm here to do the right thing. And I will not apologise for doing the right thing. I was like, Dan, is that you? And this kind of like martyrdom on the altar of I'm sacrificing, yes, even my personal integrity.
Well, I'm sure it was
to do what's right.
I'm sure it was a sacrifice for him to go down to the local shopping centre and talk to actual people too.
I don't believe that he actually
I don't think he did
Show
either.
us the pot box.
I don't know that Anthony Albanese's ever done the right thing in his life. He only ever does the left thing. But it's funny you say he had it cooking in the background. Puts a new meaning on cooking the books, doesn't it?
He was asked at the press club whether or not he had told a lie. Have a listen to his response.
Do you believe you lied? You maybe think...
Well, what I did was absolutely say, I have announced when we have changed our position. We changed our position on Tuesday.
I was watching this live at home, and when he was asked, did you tell a lie? And he said, what I did was lie, absolutely. And I thought for a second, he's going to admit he told a lie. And then he said, no, he said that he made an announcement. So that's not a lie.
No. And the other thing he announced there today as well was that the ACCC is going to look into the supermarkets because of price gouging.
So now we've got two inquiries,
Well, exactly.
right?
I thought we'd already
Running
set
at
up
the
an
same time.
inquiry.
One isn't enough. That's
run
how
by
serious
Craig
he is about
Emerson.
this issue.
So we've got two inquiries going on now.
See how much he's doing to solve the cost of living crisis?
Well,
it's all happening.
Exactly. Wait till we have the inquiry into Woolies and why they didn't have Australia Day merchandise. Oh, no, Albo would never do that, would he?
It's all smoke and mirrors, though. If you wanted to make... Because we all know bracket creep. It means that all this extra money that people are getting in these tax cuts, it's already wiped out. It's literally nothing. It is literally nothing. Talk about there's a hole in your bucket. We should just play that every single night now. But people genuinely seem to think, oh, we're getting more back now. No, you're not.
The last time Craig Emerson was involved with grocery prices, the Labor Party were in government and they'd planned a website where they were going to have live prices comparing across all the different grocery stores. And it was Chris Bowen handled it originally, so you can understand why it was passed on to someone else to fix it. And Emerson looked at it and said, no, we're canning it.
This is
and it was
really not
scrapped.
that hard.
So,
like, if you wanted to do something really practical, just do something like ditch the GST on bread, milk, eggs.
Fuel excise, get rid of that.
Fuel excise by 30 cents in the dollar, something like that.
I'd freeze the alcohol
that
excise.
every single person...
And the other thing is this Emerson...
That is your petrol.
The Emerson inquiry won't be done for 6 months, by which time we'll have had another budget, life will have moved on, and I think that's you've got to be
Who knows
seen
what
to be
the
doing
RBA
something
will have done to us by then as well.
without doing anything.